Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. And it is Monday. It's August 20th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. Not much happening today. It was a really quiet, kind of low volume day. You can see there's not a lot of bars today. Not a lot of movement either. This is pretty much a range day, even into the close. Um, the highs were, really it ends up the highs are up here at the high of the day, of the overnight rather. You can see we broke above that a couple of times, but I usually keep this around the closes and where you get the most touches. So I started with it right there, so I'll put it back there because that's where I started with it. Same thing down here. You can see I put it where I got the most touches and closes, and in the end it was probably right there. So, um, but this is where I started with it right here. But anyway, we had a move up, we had a move back down, and a move back up basically. And once we didn't reach these lows and we started higher, first thing you want to do, my mouse is just not working properly. It's giving me, it won't hold down or something. But anyway, measure that first. Yeah, I'm really just having a lot of problems with this mouse. There's that first leg up. And really you probably should measure it from the very low. This thing's driving me crazy. Measure it from that low and then look for there. Look for a measured move. And you can see we came within maybe a tick of that. If you put a line across there, it'd make it a little easier. But you can see we came within maybe a tick or two of that measured move there. So um, that would have given you a great target. Obviously, you want to be very concerned or very leery getting long into this once you start getting into this resistance up here. So just keep that in mind. And you can see we struggled to get through there. This stuff right here, you just got to stay out because you can get whipsawed both ways. You don't know what's really going to happen there. If the range holds, we'll probably turn down, and I'd be more apt to think we'd probably turn down there. Actually, after we made this higher low, I would think I'd be leaning towards maybe breaking through, just running up for that measured move and then turning down. But you would expect prices to eventually try to go lower again, which they did, but really, we didn't do much. We were still making higher highs and higher lows here. You got a real steep trend, and then we just kind of leveled off more of a 45-degree angle. And we're still going higher here. It's really sideways there, but you can see we're making higher highs and higher lows. And I just drew this line off the top, drug it down, and it fit perfectly when prices came back to it here. So that was real easy to find, really. But not a lot of trades, so it won't take long. Let's talk about the trades, and we'll wrap it up. First trade I saw was a long here, and we are trading down here, but notice we made a low, then we made a double bottom, then we made a higher low, and really we've got a double test of this level here. We made that low, double test, and at this point, if we went higher from here, I would look for a measured leg from that point on. Of course, that didn't happen. We just made a lower double top and continued down. So it would have been something to think about, and I would have also drawn my short term. I don't know why this thing just will not draw these lines. My button just lets go. Even though I don't let go of the button, it's like I let go of it. I draw this down, and you can see we got a close outside, and we tried to make a new low. We actually ended up going lower. There's a bigger pattern here as well, but I would have looked at that short term early on. Take it off just because it's in the way, really. But we got a double test here. I like going long, fairly bullish reversal type bar. Failed second entry short, and really there's a second entry long here, but I didn't like going long there. That bar is not very good, and it was really kind of into a double top right there. But when it breaks lower here and makes that double test, I would think we're probably either going higher or at least back up to test this high. There is a shorter term trend line here. If I can get it to draw, I'm going to try to figure out what's going on there with my mouse. But you get a break, and so you would expect it to try to make a new high there possibly. So when we made this double bottom, double test, and a double bottom with a higher low, I like that. And I was really hoping it'd take off from there, but it turned out to be a quick, easy scalp, and then we turned back down. I would draw this trend line off those first two swings. It gets confirmed here. Not a very good signal bar, though. Comes back, makes a failed second entry long right there. Again, I don't really like that setup. It is a failed second entry long, and if you'd have taken it, it would have worked. But it's really kind of right back into these lows here. But when it tries to go higher again and fails and gives you, you made this high, you tested it once, you tested it twice. It's a failed second entry long. It's a big bearish bar. I would try to go short. I wouldn't mind. You got to be careful that you don't have enough room here. So in the end, this trade really didn't matter because it gapped over and it probably wouldn't have come back and filled you anyway. So you really didn't have time to put a stop in. You would have had to use a limit order. And because it's so close, I would have tried to get a little better entry and you wouldn't have got it here and it would have gone lower without you. But if your chart looks a little bit different and you could get in this one, you just got to get in and make sure you got enough room to get out. This one would have worked even with a buy stop or a sell stop right there. You would have gotten out before this low. There was just enough room. There wasn't really enough room for the closes, but there was just enough room for these previous lows. So it would have worked, but anyway, I just don't think it's, I think you got to get in with a little better entry than a sell stop right where it would be on my chart there. So if your chart was a little better, you might have had a little different entry. And then, of course, you get a failed break lower here. And it did go lower and turn and go out the other side. But I'd want this to close with a good signal bar before I tried to buy here. And prices are swinging back and forth above and below the EMA. So normally I'd tell you don't want to buy it all in a downtrend. But this is very neutral. And this right at that point, we got a range going sideways here. Even though it's making lower lows and lower highs, we actually make a little higher high here than right there. So it's still acting as with a very range-like trading and so forth. But this is not a good enough signal bar, so I don't like it. Same thing here. It comes back up. It tests this trend line again. And that bar's got a little bit of a bearish tint, not enough. Then the next bar is a doji, so I'm not going to try to go short there either. Again, it bounces down here, but you really want to wait on a higher low, which comes right here, and you can't go long right back into that trend line, not without a break or a convincing close outside. We did get a little bit of an overshoot, but maybe not because this line may be down here like so, a little lower, and that's not really a convincing close if you move it on down. And it probably does fit better right there than where I had it earlier. I think I moved it around trying to move these other lines a little bit. You do get a second entry short right here, and the reason I made this one green, notice the new low and you move up first entry and then second entry, and you got a little 2-bar matching high with a failure above it. So it's not a bad setup, but it's not back to that trend line. And we just came off the low side, and this trend line's we've been coming back and forth. So I was a little leery of that one. It's a little bit aggressive, and plus it's right into those previous lows again. So it's not the greatest setup, but you may take it. If you had it would have been a good trade. And of course, then we move down. Then it comes back again, and then gives you that failed second entry long. And this actually broke higher and turns and goes out the other side. Again, you don't want to go short right into these lows, so I'd let it break lower and drop a limit order in. And this one would have backed up several ticks and filled you with enough room. It works anyway, but I'd want a little better entry. And this does look like a repeat pattern. I mean, it's a perfect repeat pattern. You see that double top, and then it comes back and gives you another little double test right there of the EMA. And then it goes lower. So it's really almost a perfect repeat pattern. And repeat patterns tend to have the same outcome every time. So I like that one if you saw all that I just described. Then, of course, we bounced. And this is why you got to be a little bit leery of going long into that trend line. But it actually pushes through and gets back inside the upper range and turns down, gives you a failed second entry short, and then turns and goes out the other side. You could have a buy stop right above that bar, but I'd probably just wait for this to close and put a buy stop right there. And if you catch this one, this was a pretty good move. I'd be looking for it to come back up here. And it actually makes a double bottom here, and then a first entry and a second entry. And so that's not the greatest signal bar, but it is a failed second entry short, and it does bounce off the trend line key entry point. It is off the EMA too. So you may take that trade. Plus, there's a little short-term trend line working. That's the first break of it. But you figure this is where we're probably headed. So if you want to be a little bit aggressive, you probably take that one. It's not my favorite setup, but you may consider it. Anytime, I mean, when you get a real tight trend channel like this, you won't always get a lot of second entries because there's not room for them. So, and the fact that we came off the EMA, still closing inside the trend line, double bottom, so first entry, second entry, and you got to figure that we're headed here at a minimum, and so that's probably going to shoot back up to there. So I just still would have liked this to have been a little better signal bar and just relied more on the signal bar than anything. But you might take that. And then of course I drew this in the kind of purple lavender color because there's just too much sideways action, too many dojis in there, stems. You just don't want to get whipsawed in this because you get second entries and failures in both directions, and they all just fail and just get stuck in there and chopped up. And it's too likely that it'll end up going out the opposite side you enter on, and then you get stopped out only to see it come right back to where it started from. So another trader asked me about this. He treated it like a failed breakout, and it really is a little failed breakout of this area right here. Actually, let me take that back. It didn't turn out really to be a failed breakout, but it's a breakout of that. It turns out to just kind of break out and go higher and then fail. But what you got to be concerned about is that even though there's a lot of resistance across there, here's where the overnight high is, way up here. And in that case, that's just a perfect test. You really just tested the overnight high, so it hadn't really, I wouldn't consider that a failed breakout of the bigger pattern so much at this point. So it's just testing it. And you really just need to wait on a lower high. Or a true failed breakout, which this one was right here, and also this one, you could say the same thing. And notice those got a little more movement out of them. And this would have been the better one, the second attempt. And really, you got a double top up there. And so this is, again, a little failed break above a double top. But again, you're better off to wait on the lower highs. And we just didn't get one. Anytime you start trying to pick tops, or trying to pick bottoms, there's just always too much room for failure, and you'll get burned most times. So just be careful doing that. And that's what I told that trader. Just be patient. Wait on the lower high. It's hard to be patient on a day like this. I get it, because there's just not much happening. You sit here all day, and you really had 1, 2, 3, 4 trades by 10:30, and then it really wasn't anything after that. You're just sitting here. I mean, when it starts doing this from 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock, there's no sense in hanging around. Just leave and go home. I mean, there's nothing there to make it worth your while. It's just really not. So that's just time you want to just probably close it up and go home. I mean, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 bars there from a little after 10:30 to 1 o'clock. That's 2.5 hours you sit there and just watch nothing happening. And so it's just not really worth hanging around. It's too easy to get chopped up. It's too easy to get impatient. Usually when it's like that, you're better off just close it up and take a day off. Enjoy your afternoon or whatever. So, but yeah, not much else we can say about today. So I'm going to wrap it up. Hopefully it'll pick back up tomorrow. We had a couple of really good days last week. Maybe we'll get some more this week. But I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.